Seoul, the lively capital of South Korea, is a fascinating mix of old customs and fast-paced change. Alongside the grand palaces that remind people of the Joseon Dynasty, gleaming skyscrapers reach for the sky, showing how quickly Korea has grown. As you travel through Seoul, you will experience a lot of different things: smelly markets, busy subways, and the quiet beauty of the Bukchon Hanok Village. The Seoul Tower, also known as Namsan Tower, is both a famous landmark and an observatory that gives sweeping views of Seoul's sprawling cityscape. When it first opened in 1980, it was Korea's first tower that could send TV and radio broadcasts. Today, it still does its main job, but it is better known as a landmark for both tourists and people who live in the area. At 237 meters tall, its observatory deck gives visitors a clear view of Seoul's skyline, making it a popular spot both during the day and at night. The National Museum of Korea holds a huge amount of Korea's history and culture. This museum has artifacts and treasures that tell the story of a country that has thrived for thousands of years. Starting with prehistoric artifacts, the museum takes visitors on a trip through time. They learn about the ancient kingdoms of Goguryeo, Beech, and Silla, move on to the Joseon Dynasty, and end with the development of art in modern Korea. The Seoul Museum of Art is a haven for modern and traditional art in Seoul. It is housed in a neoclassical building from the colonial era. SEMA shows works by both well-known artists from around the world and new artists from the area. Rotating exhibitions give people new things to see and do, and workshops and lectures get people involved. The museum's design mixes old and new art, which makes for a very interesting atmosphere. Gwanghwamun Gate stands like a guardian at the heart of Seoul. It is a symbol of the city's strength and long history and the main entrance to Gyeongbokgung Palace. The gate was built in 1395 during the Joseon Dynasty but has had to be fixed up many times because of invasions and other events. It has ornate details, woodwork, and the famous Hiri statues, which people believe protect them from fire and other disasters. Gyeongbokgung, whose name means palace greatly blessed by heaven, was built during the Joseon Dynasty and is the largest and most important of the 5 grand palaces. King Taejo ordered this architectural masterpiece to be built in 1395. For hundreds of years, it was the center of the country and the royal home. Even though it has been attacked and burned down in the past, careful repairs have brought back its former glory, from the intricate carvings on the roof to the large courtyards that once echoed with royal announcements. Gwanghwamun Square is a large urban plaza that is anchored to the north by the Grand Gwanghwamun Gate. It is also a living canvas of Seoul's history and civic spirit. This public space is over 20,000 square meters big, and it blends the old and new parts of Seoul without any trouble. The square is dominated by the statues of King Sejong the Great and Admiral Lee Sun-sin. The Blue House is the official residence and executive office of South Korea's president. At the base of the famous Bukhansan mountain, its famous blue tiles and grand architecture make for a beautiful silhouette against the green mountain. The name Cheonggyecheon literally means pavilion of blue tiles, which comes from the beautiful 150,000 blue roof tiles that cover the building. Bukchon Hanok Village is a quiet area of Seoul between the Gyeongbokgung and Cheonggyecheon palaces. It is home to traditional Korean Hanok houses that are hundreds of years old. Many Hanoks are still used as homes, but others have been turned into cultural centers, tea houses, and shops for handmade goods. There are sounds of tradition in the winding alleys, like soft music and people making things. Even though Gangnam is a busy city, Bongeunsa Temple is a quiet place. This Buddhist sanctuary, which has been around since the 8th century, shows how modern and peaceful Seoul can be at the same time. The temple has intricate carvings and colorful murals, and the smell of incense makes it a good place to think. Visitors can see the beautiful Maitreya Buddha statue and take part in traditional tea ceremonies. Jingwansa Temple is one of Seoul's less well-known jewels, but its spiritual and historical significance is no less important. Jingwansa is one of the 4 great temples near Seoul. Its history goes back to the 11th century. When people walk into the temple, they are greeted by pagodas and stone lanterns that are hundreds of years old and represent the temple's legacy. Bukhansan National Park is a hiker's dream because it has rough granite peaks, thick forests, and peaceful temples. From its highest points, visitors can see a wide view of the city. Bukhansan also has different kinds of plants and animals, as well as historical fortresses and Buddhist temples that are important to Korean culture. Cheonggyecheon flows through the busy city of Seoul. It is a revitalized urban stream and a symbol of urban renewal. Once hidden by an overpass, the 11 kilometers waterway that runs through the city now is a sign of how well cities are planned. Cheonggyecheon is lined with art installations, stepping stones, and lots of green plants. At night, bridges and installations that are lit up create a romantic atmosphere. Rising over the skyline of Seoul at 555 meters, the Lotte World Tower is the tallest building in South Korea. It has 123 floors and combines high-end shops, a hotel, and an observatory with sweeping views. The tower's design is sleek and modern, and its high-tech features make it safe and good for the environment. Dongdaemun Design Plaza is a shining example of modernity and innovation. It is in the old part of Seoul. Its neo-futuristic curves and undulating surfaces, which were made by the famous architect Zaha Hadid, go against the rules of traditional architecture. Dongdaemun Design Plaza is the place to be for creative people and design fans in Seoul. At night, LED roses light up the grounds, making it look like a strange place. The Insadong Neighborhood, in the middle of Seoul, is a treasure trove of Korean culture and tradition and a mix of old and new things. Modern art galleries sit next to antique shops and traditional tea houses, where people drink old-fashioned drinks, are next to modern cafes. Handmade goods are sold on the street, and musicians and dancers perform traditional Korean music and dance pieces. When you walk into Gwangjang Market, you are immediately surrounded by the sights, sounds, and smells that make up Seoul's busy street food culture. It opened in 1905, and it's one of the oldest and most loved markets in the city. From hot mung bean pancakes to fermented kimchi and chewy tteokbokki, the market is also a paradise for food lovers. The food scene in Seoul is a delightful mix of long-standing traditions and new ideas. From the busy streets of Gwangjang Market, where the smell of sizzling baindeok and savory kimchi fills the air, to the upscale restaurants of Gangnam, where Korean classics are served in new ways, Seoul has something for everyone. Combining fresh, local ingredients with traditional cooking methods and modern twists, Seoul's food scene shows both Korea's rich culinary history and its dynamic modern goals. Seoul is like a beautiful tapestry where the threads of old traditions weave together with the pulses of modern life. In addition to its tall buildings and bright lights, the city has palaces, temples, and hanoks that show its long history. Its streets tell stories about emperors and craftsmen, and its markets are full of the tastes and sounds of modern life. A city where you can relax and think under the cherry blossoms just as much as you can enjoy K-pop music and new technology. Seoul isn't just a place to visit, it's also an experience, a story of perseverance, innovation, and timeless beauty that keeps getting better and better.